Welcome in everybody to the 49ers podcast. I'm Matt Daniel, and as always, joined by my co-host John Gallagher. John, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you guys?
Can't complain. Today we're going to be doing some NFL power rankings, and to do that, we brought in a non-49ers fan to help limit the homerism. I'm honored to welcome the show's first guest, Spence. Spence, how you doing?
What's going on, man? Excited to be here.
All right, we're super happy to have you. For those who don't know, me and Spence were in the Air Force together. We went to basic
I didn't know
at the same
that
time. Yeah, so we went to we were the same job, same tech school, same first base. So we go pretty far back.
Same hurricane.
Same hurricane, yeah.
Hurricane will bond you.
Yeah, there you go. That's what they say. Disaster is what brings people together. So
yeah.
So make sure to follow him at JTRB1. He's a writer for Yards Per Fantasy. Yeah, self-proclaimed poor philanthropist. He also co-hosts a fantasy football podcast, Fantasy Newsroom. Make sure to check them out if you want to win your fantasy leagues. I cover all the bases for you, Spence.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sweet.
All right. Sounds good. Make sure to follow us as well. Our ads are on the screen. We're on YouTube, and we're finally on Apple Podcasts. Also, we're giving away a signed Deebo Samuel jersey.
Yeah.
So this time next week, we'll be announcing the winner. So make sure to check out how to enter if you haven't yet.
Sorry, guys. It's going to be me.
That's how we got it. That's how we got him on the show.
Yeah,
we had to bribe
anyway. I can't even add you to it. I can't play favorites. So. All right. So let's get into news and notes a little bit before we get into our power rankings. The 49ers signed offensive lineman Senio Kelemete, if I pronounce that right, to a one-year deal and waived Justin School after he tore his ACL.
Mm-hmm.
The waive is kind of a bigger deal to me than the signing to see Justin School go because he was a pretty good depth piece. My question is actually for Spence. So last week we did our injury episode, and we talked about the 49ers curse of injuries over the past 8-9 years. As someone who's not a 49ers fan, do you see this as like a 49ers thing, or is it just like it happens to everybody? You guys just see it worse because you're 49ers fans?
Yeah, I would say it's a little bit of both. Because, I mean, Steelers, like, I got the same vibe at being a Steelers fan. Like, last year, we were like 11-0, and then bang, injury. And it's like, man, like, if we didn't get injured, we would have won. So I think every team has a stake at that. But it's definitely been pretty bad for the 49ers, especially just thinking back to last year, missing, like, almost your whole offensive, like, weaponry, minus the addition of Brandon Ayuk for most of the he was playing for most of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely, and I mean, that running back room is just horrible. Like, I don't know what they got going on in those. I don't know what kind of, they got to get better training or something. I don't know. But yeah, I definitely think it's pretty bad. Yeah, it's definitely pretty bad. But I remember I saw something last year around like the 9th or 10th week where I think it was even George Kittle, actually, it might have been, was talking about how they're playing full pad practices like every day of the week.
More often.
Whereas like other teams are like now, like at that point in the season, they've begun to lessen those during the season. So
yeah,
and I know the Steelers were super lax on that last year. So I was like banging the drum on it, and then like come week 11, they all getting injured. And I'm like, all right, well, there's just no rhyme or reason. It's just the injuries happen, and
I was gonna say that's interesting. You brought up the Steelers because I remember Chase Claypool just came out and said like we're not rocking these extra pad days like they are.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting, but then they started getting injured, and I was like, all right, well, I guess it's not that interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ryan in chat, Eagles always seem to be hurt. You're absolutely right. That offensive line cannot catch a break.
I was going to say the Chargers, too. It's between those three. They've got to be just the most.
The Eagles, though, seems to be fixated on that O-line. The way they've had to rotate people around just to have like a serviceable line on Sunday, like that's a tall order for any team.
Yeah, wide receivers too for them.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah.
And
Kelsey's
Carson Wentz
been
was their
bad.
quarterback. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Jason Kelsey's they've been having a rough little past history with him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and they've got Jason Peters playing just about every position on the line too.
Yeah, true.
Year.
Yeah, they've been a mess for a while. Hopefully, if they want Jalen Hurts to, be what they think he can be, they need to protect that man.
Luckily, he is more mobile than Wentz, so like those issues don't. If he can get out of the pocket and can scramble, those issues aren't as bad. Wentz was a lot less mobile than Hurts is. So, yeah, I'm hoping they meet in the middle there and they have some good protection and Hurts can ball out.
Yeah, they got to do something.
Mhm.
All right, you guys ready to get into some power rankings?
Let's get it.
I am ready.
All right. Coming in at number 32. I think no one's really surprised about this one. The Houston Texans. Me and Spence both have them in dead last. John has them in 31st. So I guess I'll start with you, John. What do you have to say about the Texans, I guess, versus your 32nd team, Jacksonville?
They are 30. I'll say Texans can go last if Deshaun Watson never takes the field. Mm-hmm. If Deshaun Watson takes the field, the Texans are still, I don't know, somehow decent because of Watson, what he's able to do. So that, they put up numbers. I really hate the losing of JJ Watt. That defense seems like it's going to be in a tough place. I don't like the coaching there either. So the only thing keeping him from dead last is Deshaun Watson. But if he doesn't take the field, then yeah, I'm 100% going Texans is last.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to
say that's a fair point.
When the only thing you have going for you is the skill of your quarterback, who's in a case with a bunch of,
it doesn't look good right now.
It's not great. So yeah, it's definitely not looking good for Houston. I don't know. Spence, do you have anything to add to that horrible organization?
Yeah, that's actually not something I thought about, though. I've been team Watson's not playing another snap in the NFL for a long time. Mm-hmm. But like, as I've read more articles and more people who have been in the scene a little longer than I have and seen some people with similar, like, I don't know what you want to call it, complications, they tend to play. They tend to play again at some point. So some team will take them or they'll come back to their team or what have you. So I think it's fair to put them. You could realistically move them up even a little bit more if you think that Deshaun Watson will play for the Texans again. I'm not against that at all.
Mm-hmm. If he plays the full season,
even if he did not, even if he just came back like mid-season, like honestly, like I still think that mid-season, like if he got suspended 6 games and he comes back, I still think that they win more games than like the Jets. Probably.
Well, the thing is,
I think that's realistic.
With how serious of his allegations are, it seems like it's going to be either a big suspension, because it doesn't really seem like 23 women, let's make it 4 games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's going to be either everything, or they're going to say, well, we don't have the proof, we can't suspend you. So I don't know. Yeah. I feel like it's going to be a big or nothing.
I see it leaning more towards like if there isn't a legal ramification, like if he's not actually accused and found guilty, it'd be weird for the NFL to then come in and say, okay, well then we have the perfect punishment. If he's not found guilty, I don't think they're going to enforce some, egregious extra punishment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes the NFL does like to take that into their own hands and just say like, well, clearly you're doing something, kind of iffy. We'll suspend you a few games. Maybe that will be what happens, but
maybe.
Anyways, moving on to number 31, Jacksonville Jaguars. Me and Spence have them at 29. John has them in dead last, I guess 31 now. But what do you guys have for Jacksonville?
I'm low on.
I like a lot of their players.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know if Urban Meyer's going to step in and be, NFL ready. That's something that like I can't bank on and say like that they're going to just step in and then be worlds better than they were. I love a lot of the talent on that team. I did kind of disagree with taking Etienne in the first when you had, diamond in the rough, James Robinson. Like you could save money or save your draft capital by just keeping James Robinson and picking other players that you do need at other positions. But he could end up being special. That could be a fun offense to watch. They just do have a lot of holes that they still need to address before I consider them, not a bottom of the barrel team in the NFL.
Yep. I agree with that. I think the thing is like they have a lot of the pieces and they're moving in the right direction, but they were just so bad.
Right.
Like you can't turn a team around that quickly. I'm hoping Trevor Lawrence, is as good as, he's.
Oh, he'll be fun.
But
I think he'll be a lot of fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we got the Detroit Lions. Me and Spence have them at 31, John at 27. This one is pretty self-explanatory. Just another bad team. I think they fall in the same tier as the other two. Just so many issues. Like, where do you even begin? Just like the worst wide receiver core in football. And then you trade Jared Goff for Matt Stafford, which is, downgrade by every sense of the word. I mean, I don't like Dan Campbell. I don't know. What do you guys think?
See, I don't like Dan Campbell in press conferences. I don't think he displays that great of
You don't like the motorcycle helmet?
It's not that awesome, but players really like him. Players like playing with him or playing for him. So I do think that he does kind of turn around this lackluster attitude that's been in Detroit. Matt Patricia last year, I think he just cultivated a locker room that sucked. And I see Dan Campbell turning that around.
Mm-hmm. The players seem to like him.
Yeah.
Players, coaches are important.
Super
I don't know if
important.
they're that important as head coaches, but they're important. But they got two of them though, like Anthony Lynn. Like players love Anthony Lynn too. So hopefully it's a good environment at least.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm pretty high on that rookie wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think he could be good. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of people high on him. I don't trust it. I don't trust it. Not for fantasy purposes, at least.
I think a lot of the hype is just like he's the only one in the room, so like
might as well
be, I don't know.
I like the run after catch ability he brings. There's some skill sets that he has that I think if they just decide to feed him, or if he sees enough looks in the slot in the middle of the field, he can get some good production out of that.
Yep.
Yeah. I just don't trust Jared Goff.
I feel it, but I mean, he made Woods and Kupp, very viable fantasy wide receivers. Like if you
had Woods and Kupp though,
and
true,
Sean
but
McVay.
Sean McVay, great, but like those receivers won on the routes they got open, in the middle of the field, and Goff liked to target that. So if there's any kind of prowess to Amon-Ra St. Brown's game, I think Goff can connect really well, and then TJ Hawk is just the ultimate safety net for that team.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, I don't know. I guess we will have to see. Moving on to the New York Jets, 29th. Me and Spence, once again, have the same rank at 30. And then John has him at 28. So we're all pretty low on the Jets. What do you guys have for the Jets?
I'll start with you. I took the last one.
Zach Wilson's just like, I mean, if he's the guy, he's the guy. If he's not, he's not. And this rank is showing that he's not. If he's a guy, then I can bump him up 10 spots maybe. If he's actually as good as the second overall pick. But right now I'm pretty low on him. So not super excited for the team. Not great offense, in my opinion, that's going to come out of there. And that defense is always pretty miserable. So,
go for it.
Sorry. I found it interesting when the Jets pick, how it was just kind of like a lock Zach Wilson.
It was so weird. It was after that. It was after the Pro Bowl, or not Pro Bowl,
Pro Day,
Senior Bowl.
Senior Bowl.
Okay.
Yeah, like after the Senior Bowl, it was like Zach Wilson. That's it. Like there's no more talk of anybody else.
Yeah, I feel like the teardrop, there wasn't one really. I mean, if anything, I don't know. I don't understand it, but I don't hate the pick. I just dislike the fact that it was just like lock Zach Wilson. It just doesn't add up to me. But I mean, I like Elijah Moore, and I like
Elijah Moore.
Right.
So there's good things.
Elijah Moore's real good. There is hope. The change in the coaching regime, I think, boosts them quite a bit. Adam Gase had them in the gutter. Just terrible for football. So moving on from them, it's impossible for me not to expect some kind of upgrade. I think Saleh, I think he took notes in San Francisco. I hope he brings, some solid coaching skills to that team because they desperately need it. Elijah Moore, I'm very high on. I've always thought Jamison Crowder has been a very underrated wide receiver. So if they start game planning to use those players, I think that they can be productive. The defense, though, does have me questioning, how viable they can be for the whole season.
I was shocked that he was not cut. I was shocked.
Blown away. He's good.
No, they already restructured, didn't they?
Yeah, they restructured him.
Yeah.
I was hoping that's why I was crazy. They asked him to cut half of his salary,
and he did.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
He actually said he did do it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
bold move.
Yeah.
I feel like because he could have. There are like enough wide receiver needy teams. I feel like he could have signed with someone.
Not this year. Not in this economy.
Yeah, that is true. All right, moving on. 28, Las Vegas Raiders. Me and Spence at 26, John at 29.
We're just lockstep. This is 5 in a row.
I know. I think
that's crazy.
This is the last. Nope, we still got 2 more of the same. We are the exact same until 24. Nope, that's the same too. Till 23. So we have
Oh,
8
wow.
straight of the exact same. John,
That's
you're
all
the
right.
only one.
But I'm
crazy.
hearing that you guys have them there for different reasons, and that's important too.
Yeah,
True. Yeah. It's
so
all a
anyways,
learning experience.
it
Yeah.
is, there we go. So the Raiders. What do we have for the Raiders? John, you can take this one first.
Well, so the Raiders have some players that I like that should be taking the next step. Brian Edwards at wide receiver and Ruggs should both be very, very much more comfortable in that offense moving forward. And if they are, I see that offense being a lot better. The Jacobs-Drake combo, I don't love for fantasy, but for winning games, that could be pretty good for them to keep both those guys healthy. That defense sucks. So they are going to have, they're going to need to be a team that scores a lot of points. And then they're in a division with the Chiefs and the Chargers, who are just fireworks shows on offense. It's almost impossible to stop them from scoring points. So
imagine if the Broncos get Rodgers.
If they get Rodgers or
that division,
or there are people still holding on hope for Drew Lock. Like if he takes a step forward and he can sling the ball with any kind of consistency, they have enough playmakers on that team to be good. So
I don't think that Drew Lock starts a game. I think it's Teddy Bridgewater.
Okay, maybe Teddy's serviceable. I saw some things in Carolina though that I didn't love. And so it would make me want to lean towards the younger player to develop.
I saw worse things in Denver from Drew Lock than I saw from Teddy. And Teddy isn't, the miraculous, going to save the team. But, I mean, it's still better than Drew Lock, in my opinion. Because Drew Lock was like Nick Mullins bad at times.
I feel it, but
Nick Mullins was not that bad. You guys are so harsh on him.
Nick Mullins?
Dude, he was not that bad.
I would say he's erratic at best.
Pause the show.
He's fine.
Here's the thing.
Start.
Nick Mullins, we're not talking, this is a 49er show, but this isn't even on the 49ers yet. But Nick Mullins was so good in garbage time that it made his stats look good. Bro, we watched these games.
That it?
He was so fucking bad, bro. It was unreal. I probably bring the
better or worse than CJ Beathard?
Worse.
Wow, that's crazy.
Different.
I think he was worse. At least CJ was athletic enough to where it was like, okay, maybe he'll make a play. Nick was just like,
Nick is a pocket passer. You know?
And like Nick could throw it. Like CJ
throw it, but it would be to the wrong person like 3 seconds too late.
Fair, very fair.
But he had the arm, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, see, I don't think CJ really had the arm.
No, CJ has a cannon. That's his best attribute is his arm.
I didn't see those throws.
That's the reason they drafted him was like just his arm. Remember, they brought him in to throw a deep ball just because Nick Mullins couldn't throw it far enough. I'm not even joking.
I must be remembering. I remember some sailing bombs from Mullins.
No, CJ definitely has a stronger arm.
Okay.
Anyways, enough 49ers talk around here.
Yeah.
Let's get into the Falcons. 26th. Me and Spence both at 24. John at 30. I guess John, you could take this one since you have him the lowest.
I got him low. That's an offense that doesn't score a lot of points, and they didn't score a lot of points when they had one of the most prolific wide receivers in the NFL. That guy's name was Julio Jones. He's not going to be there anymore. So the fact that they are a bad red zone team, don't score points, while they had that talent, I don't love it. I think that their offense regresses, even though I'm very high on Kyle Pitts. I think he'll be terrific for fantasy because the volume's going to be there. Same with Calvin Ridley. It's just they were one of the most picked on defenses in the air. I don't think they defended anybody's passing game with any kind of force at all. So the fact that they aren't going to be a team that scores points and they can't stop the pass makes me think that they are just going to be pretty lame this year.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree the defense is garbage.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that's hard with a team is if you're bad, and then on top of that, you don't have like your future quarterback because Matt Ryan is still, I don't know how old he is. What is he, 36?
Yeah.
Am I older than that? I don't know. I just feel like I would much rather be like, okay, the Jets, they're bad, but at least they have who they think their future quarterback is.
Right.
Versus, the Falcons sitting in. I mean, I would have rather have taken Fields at 4 instead of Pitts, but that's just me.
Right.
Spence, how are you feeling about the Falcons?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you guys are saying. It's just we've seen the Falcons. This Falcons team is not that different other than Julio Jones being gone. than the team we saw like go to the Super Bowl. So, like, I mean, it's still like the core Matt Ryan. I mean, I guess the core is Matt Ryan, but Matt Ryan is capable of doing things. So I think as far as like power rankings, like I kind of think of it as a likelihood to like make the playoffs and maybe win a Super Bowl. Like I have the Falcons definitely ahead of the other people we just went over. You know what I mean? Like that just resonates with me that they're gonna do. Yeah, exactly. They're gonna do better than these guys this year. Better shot at winning, like at least the playoff, like getting the playoffs
for sure. So number 25, the Eagles. Me and Spence have them at 28. John is at 20. I mean, I feel like the Eagles have a lot of problems, a lot of things that they need to address. They do have a new head coach, which, I mean, I didn't think Doug Peterson was the problem there. I don't like how he treated the bombing at the end of the season.
That was horrible. He couldn't keep his job after that.
Yeah, right. That was just like, maybe he wanted to be fired. Maybe that was what it was. He just wanted to coach somewhere else. Is he coaching?
I thought it was they told him that you were going to get fired if you didn't bomb it. Like, I thought that was what was happening. But then they fired him anyway, and I was like, well, that wasn't it.
Yeah. I didn't hear that. I just thought he was just bombed it.
No, I didn't hear it. I just thought it because it made more sense. Okay. Like, it made the most sense. Like, the only reason to bomb.
Like his hands were tied?
Yeah, exactly. If his hands were tied, like the GM made him or something so that they could get the better position in the draft.
Yeah. I guess
which ended up being good.
A coach wouldn't care as much. He wants to win, keep his job. That's how he pays his bills,
Yeah, well, and a little bit. I mean, they want to get better players too, so it makes a little bit of sense. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. You just don't do that in the NFL.
Yeah.
I do think they're going to be better. I was going to say, I do think they're going to be better than they were last year with Hurts playing a full season. Because if their offensive line can stay remotely healthy, they've got some studs on that offense. With Smith, Rieger, if healthy, can be very good, and then Dallas Goedert's going to be awesome. Miles Sanders too. So like they have some real playmakers on that offense where, and then they're in a division where they're competitive. Like the Dallas Cowboys aren't amazing, and they have to play them twice, right? Like so they're in a division where like they can stay very, very relevant.
Yeah, they are in the worst division in professional sports, so that does help. The chances of them making the playoffs, even though I do have them lower, isn't crazy. I think for this bottom tier, they do have the best chance just because of the division they're playing in. And they have made some moves. They do have some weapons on offense. I just think there is still like a little bit of a ways to go before they're ready to make that leap. Number 24, the New York Giants. Me and Spence at 25, and then John at 22. So we're all around the same ballpark with the Giants. They did make a few moves, specifically Kenny G, and then they made the decision to trade back for Kadarius Toney in the first round. I don't know. Doesn't really seem like what I would do, but I'm also not a GM. I don't know. What are you guys thinking about the Giants this year?
I like them. I like Daniel Jones. Like, I like his rushing ability. I don't think they're really taking advantage of it as well as they could. And I also think, like, if he just gets the turnovers down, like, he could be a very viable starting quarterback in the NFL. And with Saquon coming back, he's basically had to play without Saquon for like the past 2 seasons. He's basically missed him for the whole season and a half. So I think that's going to change a lot of things. And then Kenny Galladay is a huge addition. And then Kadarius Toney might not be like an all-star, but he's kind of like a mini Deebo Samuel. Like, I think they're going to kind of play him like a little bit of gadget and, some sweeps and stuff and that yak ability. So I actually kind of like the offense. It's just that defense I'm really not sold on. It's not bad per se, but it's not great. And considering the division they're in, I probably could have moved them up a little bit. Like you guys were accounting for that a little bit. I didn't really take it into account much. I just was thinking like team versus team, not like division stuff. But so they could definitely get moved up a little bit because I'm a believer. I like what they got going on.
If Saquon's healthy, I think they might even move up considerably in these power rankings. Their defense isn't good, but Saquon is special enough where if that offense gets on the board and then they just play keep away, run out the clock with Saquon, they can absolutely do that. So they have a formula to win by running through Saquon, because he's phenomenal. If he stays healthy, the Giants offense can be tough to stop and then hard to get the ball back from.
Yep.
As long as Daniel Jones keeps it.
Right.
It all comes down to Daniel Jones. If Daniel
really
Jones is really bad, which he could still be really bad, the Giants aren't going to be good. If he ends up taking that step forward and he is able to, limit those mental mistakes, maybe there'll be something. Maybe they'll surprise us. I think we're getting into that tier where it's the possibility is there that they do, compete for playoffs, and that leads us into the Bears. 23. Me and Spence have a different rating here. Spence at 21, me at 23, and then John at 24. Spence, you can take this one. You have him the highest.
Yeah, Justin Fields. I mean, dude's just good.
If he plays,
he'll play. Andy Dalton. Okay, so
he'll
bunch
play.
of things
He'll
with
play.
this. Mitch Trubisky, pretty bad, right? But still decent. You know what I mean? Like, definitely not the worst starting quarterback in the NFL last year. There was some bad stuff going on. And then they bring in Andy Dalton to take over instead. And I'm like, all right, that's a little bit of an upgrade to me. Like, I've seen Andy Dalton throw for 4,000 yards. You know what I mean? So I wasn't that low on Andy Dalton. And then they get Justin Fields. And I'm like, okay, well, this is just Justin Fields is going to start right off the rip. And everybody's like, oh, when's he going to start? And it's like, well, why wouldn't he just start right away? Like, do they really think Andy Dalton's leading them to some Super Bowl or something?
Right.
The team overall is not great. Like, just start developing this young, awesome quarterback. And Allen Robinson is awesome. David Montgomery is super underrated. I think it's possible David Montgomery just continues to be the best out of Jacobs, Montgomery, and Sanders. So, yeah, I mean, I like the team overall. They're still – the offense is relatively young. The defense is definitely getting up there on their prime. But if they figure things out like this year and next year, they could do some good stuff. So I'm excited.
So that's probably the first team in these rankings where I think that their defense keeps them in the conversation more so than their offense. They've got some great players on the offense, but that's not what's holding them back. I don't like Matt Nagy as the play caller. I think he's all sizzle and no steak. The amount of motions that they run pre-snap into routes that are, low percentage opportunities for players either in the red zone or just across the field it's bad. He puts his good playmakers in bad positions, and it's hard for them to convert on third down, to get into the red zone and then get points on the board. So I think he's the guy that's actually going to be holding that team back more than any of the players.
Yeah. I didn't mention this about the Raiders, but that's actually the reason I'm low on them too. Is actually John Gruden.
Shoot, that's good reason to be low.
Josh Jacobs, Henry Ruggs, and Brian Edwards are all good athletic football players, and just utilized so horribly, like just miserable. Like, why is Henry Ruggs not just sprinting down the field every play, or like some kind of gadget play? I don't know. It's just confusing to me. Brian Edwards, I don't know. So. The only guy who knows how to use right is Darren Waller, and that's nice, but
they just force feed it.
I know how to use him well too. Throw the ball.
Just throwing the ball. But that's why I'm so low on the Raiders, and I totally agree. Matt Nagy's in a similar boat for me personally. Like, I just don't enjoy how he utilizes players. But
this is my one note for the Bears. Nagy is a bad coach.
He's bad. He isn't good.
So, he's overrated. Like, I wouldn't say he's bad, but he's super overrated. I feel like he's really highly touted by a lot of people. Like, a lot of people really believe in him. But I'm just kind of out on it.
Well, it's always fishy to me when an offensive coach, has bad offenses for so long and really
great defenses.
So it's just like, it's like Atlanta had a really good offense.
Who's doing the work here? Yeah.
In an iffy defense, and Kyle Shanahan left and they were bad. So maybe their offensive coordinator was the one who's holding it all together. I don't know who the Bears defensive coordinator is, but maybe he's the mastermind. I don't know.
True.
Number 22, the Cincinnati Bengals. Spence has them at 19. I have them at 22. John has them at 25. So, Spence, why are you so high on the Cincinnati?
Man, I just love quarterbacks, dude. Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is so underrated in terms of like NFL right now. Like, I feel like people are already like Trevor Lawrence above Joe Burrow. I'm like, I get it. You might think the prospect difference is large, but like, we've seen what Joe Burrow can do, and it's good. You know what I mean? And he's in Zach Taylor's offense where like he's just throwing the ball all day. Like, I think he was on pace for 5,000 yards or something his rookie season.
Yeah.
Like,
did he throw like 65 times one game or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what other team is going to let him do that? You know what I mean? Like, he's developing at an ultra fast pace. And he's got Joe Mixon, who should be healthy this year, and fucking 3 great wide receivers who are likely to be top 24 fantasy wide receivers this year. Like, all 3 of them, just because of Zach Taylor's offense. And that defense, I mean, we talk about it for years, but it's just not good. But it's getting better. Like, they've been getting pieces for it. So I'm really excited for the Bengals. I've hated them as a fan for a long time, as a Steelers fan, but as a football fan, watching Joe Burrow and like Jamar Chase, D Higgins, you know, I think it's going to be awesome. So I think they're going to do really well this year, and it is a really tough division. So like I said, I didn't really account for that, but if I did, I might have to bump it down a little because it is such a tough division.
Yeah.
And I might have to bump them up from where I had them, because when I was ranking them, I actually didn't know about the offensive line issues they did address. I was operating under the knowledge that they hadn't done that. So I was like, you know, I think Joe Burrow is amazing. The fact that he did what he did on the Bengals with 0 time to throw, just getting mauled back there, I thought was very impressive. I saw that happening again, you know, coming this season. But they have done some things with the offensive line that I do like, should keep them better. I'm also hoping that Jonah Williams, I mean, last year was basically his rookie year, even though, you know, because his actual rookie year, he didn't play a snap. So he came back from that. The line didn't look good. I still think he can be a great player. And then they signed some players that I think can really help.
Yeah. I think they should have drafted Sewell, but
Yeah, 100%.
I'd have them higher if it was.
I can't. I say that, and I still stand by it. But like now that I think about it more and more, I actually do kind of like what they did, because Jamar Chase is the kind of player who is like just above other tiers. You know what I mean? Like Andrew Luck level wide receiver. Like if you're thinking about it in that aspect, like Penny Sewell is really good. Not that level though. Like he's not like the best lineman we've seen come out in the past 5 years. Like nobody's saying that.
I think
he wasn't Quentin Nelson.
Yeah,
he's not Quentin Nelson. You know what I mean? So
if you were to
I agree they needed to address O-line, but Jamar Chase is the superior talent in terms of just like player prospect level. You know what I mean?
I guess I just see Sewell different, because I think he was like the best player in the draft, including Trevor Lawrence.
Well, that's what I mean. He could have been the best in the draft, but I still think like, and that's fine for an opinion. But like, I just think if you compare him to previous classes, he wasn't as great as the other guys that are similar. You know, whereas Jamar Chase is like, who's been like Jamar Chase since like Julio Jones? Yeah. You know what I mean? Nobody.
Yeah, Megatron. Yeah. So, and I think the thing too is this was a pretty deep offensive line class. So they could have just been like, you know, it's fine. We'll take who, I don't know who they took in the second, but
they took a lineman. That's why I went back. I went back and looked. They took a lineman in the second round, and I'm like, okay, you know.
Yeah.
You need big guys to protect Burrow.
Yep. So moving on, Carolina Panthers at 21. Spence has them at 14. I have them at 20. John has them at 23. I think this one's yours against Spence.
Bro, Joe Brady. That offense is about to be killer. CMC's coming back.
Yep.
Gonna wreck them. Sam Darnold is about to look like a god because Joe Brady is like Teddy Bridgewater just had 3 wide receivers finish top 24, I believe. That's just ridiculous. Or Curtis Samuel might have been like 27 or something, but like no other team could have done that for Teddy Bridgewater. You know what I mean? So Sam Darnold is in the ultra best situation. I thought he was in the worst situation before. Adam Gase, the Jets, just horrible, altogether horrible. I think he's about to take a huge leap this year. And CMC's coming back. That whole offense is the same, but they got Terrace Marshall and they ditched Curtis Samuel, who I wasn't even big on last year. Or not. I'm not big on him in general. Like Ron Rivera had him for 2 years, didn't really do anything with him. And then Joe Brady's like, oh, I just made this kid a superstar, and he leaves. I actually think he's going to be not as high. He's not going to be as good as people think he's going to be in Washington, because Ron Rivera had him before, didn't utilize him how Ron Rivera did, but people still think he's going to get that gadget type role, which is probably just not going to be the case. So Terrace Marshall, though, he played mainly in the slot, but he has an alpha build. So him and DJ Moore are playing outside, Robbie Anderson in the slot. It's about to be nuts this year. And the defense is like meh, but it's not bad. You know what I mean? So I'm super high on the Panthers this year.
They got some players on defense I'm high on. Burns is looking great.
Oh, and that safety, Chun, is it Chin?
Well, it's one of those.
Jeremy Chin.
One of the,
Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah, he's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
So there's definitely some studs on the defense.
Yeah, I agree.
But overall, it's not great. But man, the offense got me nuts. I'm super high on him.
I do think Darnold has gone from the worst situation to something that can really elevate people's perception of him. Darnold has talent. I watched him make some throws that I thought were very impressive, and it just looked like he was suffocating in that offense. Like that offense didn't move. They did
nothing for him.
They didn't do anything for him. So I'm excited to see Sam Darnold in a scenario now where I think he's talented, and I think that talent can shine through now.
For sure, I agree with a lot of what you guys are saying. I think it all just comes down to is Darnold good? Was it Gase's fault or was it Darnold's fault? It's tough to tell, but if he's definitely in the right
place, it was Gase. Yeah.
Well, okay. So
this is how both, though.
Yeah, this is how I look at it though. It's a three-headed monster. You got the Jets organization just doing horrible things, right?
Yep.
Not bringing anybody to help him. Like, I don't know how that team didn't improve at all. Like, they didn't improve the defense at all. They drafted Denzel Mims, who's not great. You know what I mean? Like, he actually just wasn't that great. And then Adam Gase doesn't have a job anymore, and you have Sam Darnold going to the Panthers. So out of those three, if I had to pick one to be the one that wasn't fucking it up, it has to be Sam Darnold.
Right.
You know what I mean? But now looking at the Jets, I'm like, oh, you draft Zach Wilson, then you bring in Elijah Moore, and then you bring in what's his name, and then you get Michael Carter, and then so it's just I don't know. I don't like how they did him, but we'll see how it goes.
And I agree with everything you're saying. I'm just saying there is a possibility where all three of them were the problem.
That's true, but but the floor is Teddy Bridgewater, right? And Teddy Bridgewater did great on the Panthers. So I think the Panthers can survive with a bad Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I think.
But the ceiling is so high.
It's a parallel move, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So. Well, but it's still up because they brought in Marshall and CMC's coming back, and Jeremy Chin gets to develop another year, and Darnold's younger. I love it. I could talk about the Panthers all day now, man.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe we'll do a Panthers special and we'll bring you on.
I'll just start a Panthers podcast as a Steelers fan.
All right, number 20, Miami Dolphins. Spence at 23, me and John both have them at 16. I'll take this one. I really like the Dolphins this year. I love Flores. I think he's doing a great everything he's done over there has been great for the team and the organization. They had one of the best defenses in football last year. Tua, I think, is gonna, I'm not a huge Tua fan, but I think he's good enough to make this team good. Mm-hmm. They did bring in some wide receivers. I like, Will Fuller. I just think, they had Jalen Waddle. I think that they are going to be better than they were last year, and they were 10-6 last year. So, I can't really think of a reason to have them any lower than they were last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The only thing I would say for them is, you talk about 10-6, is now they have to play the Patriots, who are actually going to have hopefully a competent QB and Mac Jones, and a whole suite of the whole offense is different. Yeah. And then they also have to play against the Jets, who we just talked about twice again, but now they have Zach Wilson and weapons, compared to when it was Sam Darnold and no weapons. So they could easily drop both games to the Patriots now and one to the Jets.
They could. That's a team, though, that I think is being led by great coaching. And if there are, if there's anything that's going to overcome, an influx of talent on another roster, it's good coaching. And you're going to find out how to minimize the impact of those players that you have to compete with.
Yeah, I respect that for sure.
Moving on, number 19, Washington football team. Spence at 17, me at 15, John at 21.
I should go ahead a little bit. I should bump that up a little bit after hearing that, because I do think their defense is really, really good. The having Fitzpatrick there, it's not amazing, but it's absolutely serviceable enough to make Terry McLaurin just a high scoring machine. They've got Gibson to lean on. And then who's that rookie? Diami Brown.
Diami Brown. Yeah.
So there's some players that I do really like. And it's all, their success is predicated to me right now on that defense. Their defense is able to stop a lot of teams. So I probably should be a little more gracious with that ranking.
The O-line is really good too.
Yeah, the O-line's good. I think Chase Young's the real deal. I think they have the best defensive line in football. I think, besides maybe the Rams and Ravens, I think they have probably the third best defense of football.
Wow.
Up there.
I
But
would
defensive
Steelers-
overall or
Throw
defensive
the
line?
Steelers in the trash.
defensive line.
Defensive line. Okay. So
Defensive line. I guess the Steelers and Niners would be my 4 and 5. Those would be my top 5. So I don't know. I think their defense is legit. They're going to, wreak havoc. We've seen how if you have a team that starts with a good pass rush, it makes everybody on the defense look better.
Right.
And obviously Fitzpatrick's an upgrade versus, as much as I love Alex Smith, he wasn't.
Don't you
exactly
dare say
prime
Taylor
at the
Heineke.
end.
yeah.
And Taylor Heineke is the future.
He's about to win that job. Yeah.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't hate that either. I have him in some dynasty leagues. He's a dart throw for me.
Yeah, it's actually crazy to talk about the Washington football team and say they're like at the middle of the pack. Like if they would have just moved up for Justin Fields, like this would be a whole different conversation. Like we would have them top 10, I think. I would at least. You know what I mean? Like we're talking about top 5 defense, at least top 10, right? And the offense is great. It's just like they're QB away. I just don't believe there's a world where Ryan Fitzpatrick leads them to the playoffs or even close to a championship. So that's the only thing. I mean, for fantasy, hopefully it's going to be great. But Justin Fields would have just transformed that team.
The defense has the potential to lead them into the promised land. So if Fitzpatrick doesn't mess that up, then I think that they can be viable that way. To be fair about the Washington football team, we're talking about them as like a middle of the pack team. Not was it 2 years ago? Bottom of the barrel, right?
True.
So they have made moves that I like, and then they have gotten better. So like that is what you want to see in organizations, and they've done some really good things. Yeah. I'm also pro not getting a mascot. I think Washington football team's like, all right, you guys can be Seahawks. We play football. You know what I'm saying? Like I like it now. I thought it was silly. I thought it was silly, but now it's the Washington football team. You guys want to be Giants? Cool. We play football.
I don't know why. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
It irks me. I don't know what it is. Anyways, New Orleans Saints at 18, Spence at 16. I've been 19, and John has them at 18. So we're all around the same area. Drew Brees obviously is the biggest departure there.
Yeah.
Even though I don't even think it hurts the team that much because Drew Brees wasn't playing very good.
Bad.
The question is, we're all excited for Jameis for fantasy because he throws for 700 yards a game. Can he make the team good? I don't know. I'm doubtful. That's why I have him at 19. But I think their defense is good enough. Their coaching staff's good enough, and Jameis will be serviceable enough that they will probably, have a playoff run at, towards the end of the season.
See, it sounds like you're sold that Jameis is the starting quarterback.
100%.
Yeah.
We don't play tight ends at quarterback.
They love Taysom.
Nah.
That organ, they love him.
That restructure just didn't took me off him, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, I think that they love him because it makes Sean Payton feel smart with how many different ways he can use him.
Maybe
it's not because he's actually going to be their future quarterback.
Yeah. Also, the game Breeze went out, they had to play Winston because they didn't have the scheme set up to play with Taysom. And then you see Taysom play for a few games, and I think he actually won most of them, 3 or 4. Right. But it's it doesn't last forever. You saw towards the end of those games, the teams just started realizing, Taysom is not going to be able to throw it further than 15 yards down the field, and he's going to run. You know what I mean? So it's it's too one-dimensional. I think it's gadgety and stuff, and it's finicky, but if they just play some good defense against it, it's easy to stop. So I think that's why they'll have to resort to Jameis, who can at least throw the football, and he can move too. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And we saw people. Defenses eventually had an answer for Lamar Jackson. So you're telling me that they're not going to eventually have an answer for Taysom Hill? They are.
They had an answer for Greg Roman.
True. Oh, well, that's big facts. Big facts. Not a fan.
Yeah. No, I don't think anybody has an answer for Lamar Jackson, but that dude is just electrifying. Greg Roman schemes, though, you can absolutely shut down. That's a play caller that I hope is going to at least update his game in some way, because they have a pretty good stable of wide receivers now.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we got our arch nemesis,
Boo!
Seattle Seahawks, number 17. I have them at 33. No,
Spence
has them at 20. I have them at 21. John has them at 10.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
So he's
dude.
now a Seahawks fan.
That's not true.
That's
That's
all
not
right,
true.
John,
But
this one's all yours.
Sure. When that offense was just letting Russ cook, it was unstoppable. And then they went and got a play caller that's gonna turn up the heat in the kitchen. You know, they are going to run that through Russell Wilson. It's going to be a much harder offensive to stop. And in that, you know, in the division they're in, they give us Niners a run for our money fucking every time. They give the Rams a run for their money every time. They are
Jared Goff.
Yeah, but fair. I don't know if Stafford is the guy that makes me think the Rams are like elite or taking like this huge next step where they're going to be so much more competitive than the Seahawks. I do love their defense though. But just the Seahawks weapons on offense are good. The defense has me questioning a little bit, but just the way that team was scoring points and playing just good football, not necessarily with superstars in the game. They didn't have Jamal Adams for a big ton of that year, but they were still able.
This year. He's holding out.
He's holding out again. So I don't think that they necessarily need the superstars on defense to be, you know, making these plays. They have a sound scheme and they're just tough to beat. And that home field advantage that they always get just seems to ring in their favor. So true.
Yeah.
And that's fair. I mean, it's hard to like doubt Russell Wilson. You know, he's obviously one of the best
do it.
quarterbacks in football.
Right.
My issue is their secondary was so bad, and then they got rid of their best corner. Shaq Griffin went to Jacksonville. There is some point to where they can't just say Russ save me again, because eventually he can't save you. And I think that it's finally time that it's the Seattle's empire is, you know, going to take a step back this year. I don't know if it's just me being hopeful.
As much as I would like that to happen, I don't know if I could say that will.
I mean, I think the defenses did find an answer for the DK show where Russell would throw the ball as high and far as he possibly could. I mean, I wrote an article on DK. He was like the wide receiver 38 towards the end of the season last year. Mm-hmm. They just figured out how to stop him over the top. And I think that was a big part of their offense. And now that, you know, people figured out, okay, I'm just going to give him a bigger cushion or I'm going to have safety help. It's not like it's like that complicated to stop.
But that coordinator kind of took his foot off the gas in terms of the game plans that they would go out with. Like in the beginning of the season, mid-season, they were hucking it and they were throwing that ball and cutting up defenses. After that, like, you know, second half of the season, they kind of stopped doing that as much. It was a little bit more Carson. They ran a bit more and they didn't convert on third as often. Their offense kind of stalled. So with this new offensive coordinator that they're bringing in, I think it's going to be a fireworks show for the Seahawks.
All right, Spence, you're the tiebreaker.
I'm all the way out, man. I think this new coordinator wants to run. They brought Chris Carson back. Why would you do that unless you were interested in running? Like they already had Penny and DJ Dallas with decent draft capital still. Mm-hmm. They've invested a lot into that running back room. I think they want to run this year. They grabbed Dwayne Eskridge. Like, I'm not excited about that. David Moore left. Who cares? That defense is just abysmal. It's the worst one. The worst secondary probably in the league. Mm-hmm. And Russell Wilson's already been he's been like, after that second half of the season, I was just like, I don't think I can believe in him. I actually wanted them to rebuild this year. I wanted them to do that trade with the Bears and grab like Mitch Trubisky and like a couple firsts or something if they could have. Mm-hmm. And then just start rebuilding. I know like you play dynasty football for long enough, you'll just start saying like NFL teams should rebuild, but really I think the Seahawks are on their last leg. The defense is old, not good. The offense is like getting old. Like DK Metcalf's in his prime, they're wasting him, but Tyler Lockett's getting old. Chris Carson's getting old. Rashad Penny can never stay healthy. DJ Dallas didn't look that good. Like, I think they just got to chop it up, move on.
Yep, I agree. Well, I wanted them to, for my own sake, Russ to leave, but I also think, you know, it just seemed like it's what they should have done for their organization. Yeah, you're 100%. In the hardest division of football. Your team's just in shambles, and like, you've seen that meme where like all the rebels coming down the mountain and this giant just like holding it up. That's what Russ is doing in Seattle. He's just, you know, he's the only reason that team's floating right now, and eventually he's gonna. You know,
what do you think happens to what's his name after Russell Wilson leaves? Yeah, Pete Carroll.
Honestly, I was listening to, I don't remember who I was podcast listening to, but he's like, I think they're both going to be gone. And I think that's a possibility. I mean,
because I don't think Pete could ever let go of Russell Wilson. I think that's the thing that's happened here is that Pete will never let go of him.
You think?
So they probably would have to both go.
Maybe. But I mean, are we? I don't think Pete's a bad coach. I dislike him, and I hate playing against him. But the players love him, and he gets those players to really perform. So like that's a team though that I think like the coaching, and I'm hoping the offensive coordinator new addition is boasts them as well. I think their coaching and their overall team environment helps them out a lot.
Yep, fair enough. I guess the only time will tell.
Mm-hmm.
Number 16, Minnesota Vikings. Spence has them at 15. I have them at 18. John has them at 12. John, you want to take this one? You got them the highest.
Sure. I got them the highest. That offense is great. And if they address, the cornerback issues that they had on their defense, they're going to be a very tough team to stop. I don't see it as a defensive coordinator. I'm going to lose sleep between having to scheme against, Jefferson and Dalvin Cook. And if Irv Smith's any kind of, threat over the middle of the field, it's going to be, they're going to be in the red zone a lot.
Mm-hmm. And it comes down to how much you believe in.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
14. It comes down to how much you believe in Cousins. And I do believe in Cousins to an extent. Yeah. I just think that defense is abysmal. Yeah, and they don't clearly because they wanted to Fields, right? So
yeah, if Fields would have made it, they would have drafted him, and then it was beginning of the third that they took Kellen Mond. Like, yeah, I mean, I think they're not happy. At least that's an easy way to put it.
Which
is funny to me because
it's not the issue at all.
Yeah, he's a game manager. Like he's Baker Mayfield. You know what I mean? Like he's fine. Like just build around him and get that defense back to where it was. What in 2019 or 2018 when they beat the Saints or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know. I like them. I like the team. I mean, 15. I feel like that's pretty generous. They're not like outstanding. I don't think Dylan scores 14 touchdowns this year. Hopefully Jefferson does, but and yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting. It's all in that defense, I think. Like I said, Kirk Cousins is a game manager. The offense will be fine. They run the ball a lot. Dalvin Cook's good. If he goes down, then that team's in shambles. But
it does kind of rely on that pretty heavy.
Yeah. I mean, they were 7-9 last year, so they were kind of a fringe team. But I mean, Jefferson's going to be better this year. I think Smith's hopefully going to be better.
I think I'll move them up maybe I'll move them up if Rodgers doesn't take the position at
that's fair.
Quarterback.
Yeah, the divisional thing again.
Yeah. Because if they have the Packers in their division,
2 free wins.
Rodgers, that I don't think the Packers are going to be very competitive without Rodgers.
I totally agree. And they could still beat them 1 or 2 games.
Yeah,
right.
It's a minimum at least 1 more win.
Yeah,
and if not, it's pretty much a guaranteed 2 losses.
Yeah.
Because the Packers are going to go 13-3
if Rodgers is there. For sure, they're going to be fucking good. If he's not, they won't.
Yeah. And number 15, Dallas. Spence at 13, me at 17, and John at 14. I'll take this one since I have them the lowest. We saw how bad they were even with Dak at the beginning of the season last year. Their defense was so bad. I do love the Micah Parsons pick. I think he is going to be able to. I think he was one of the best players in the draft. It just wasn't, what a linebacker, usually isn't going to be someone who's going to go, that high. But the fact that he did fall right to him, everyone thought it was going to be Surtain. But I think Mike Parsons is a great pick. I think he's going to be an elite football player.
Mm-hmm.
And they have their linebacker core is insane.
It's pretty good.
Vander Esch, Jalen Smith plus him. It's dirty. So I think Dak's elite. So, I mean, it's tough to say. I just think their defense is still bad enough. Not really a big Mike McCarthy fan. So I don't know. We'll see. What do you guys feel?
They got some players on defense. They got some pretty rangy cornerbacks that if they put the game together, they are going to be tough to throw against. I also think Dak is elite, as much as it pains me to say that. And also having CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, and Michael Gallup is so hard to try and stop. So and then you can run the ball through Zeke once you get any kind of lead. So when all the players are healthy for the Dallas Cowboys, they're a tough team to beat on offense. The defense is the thing that does have me questioning, how long they can sustain any kind of win success. But the addition of Micah Parsons, their cornerbacks that they do have now, I like the athletic makeup of them. So if they take a step forward, that defense can be decent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't even know why I have them this high. I don't know why I made myself believe in them. But I mean, on paper, the team looks good. So
that's another. It's a division thing too. I mean, Giants, Redskins, Eagles. Like they're not.
True.
They don't have to go up against world beaters.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm pretty out on them. I don't even know. I don't know why I'm this high. It's literally just paper. Like my eyes, I don't believe they're gonna do that great. But on paper, they're a good football team.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
Who do you guys
what
think
happens.
Wins the division, NFC East?
Probably the football team.
Yeah, I would have to favor. Well, I'd have to favor the defense, and like they have the strongest of them.
Yeah.
That's what I have.
And I don't like it
just
either.
Sounds so dumb.
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
It sounds weird.
I think the football team's gonna win.
That doesn't sound weird at all. They play football. Yeah. You want to be a cowboy? Cool.
All right. This one is the widest range I've ever seen for a power ranking. The Indianapolis Colts, I have them all the way at 9. Spence has them all the way at 22. And then John right in the middle at 13.
Yeah.
So I think they have one of the best defenses in football. I feel like I've been saying that about every team for some reason.
Yeah, but, I'm not as sold on that.
I mean, DeForest Buckner is probably the second best tackle in football after Darnold.
Yeah.
Darnold. Did I say Darnold? Donald. I think their defense is elite. Carson Wentz, obviously, former MVP. He lacks the weapons, I think, minus Jonathan Taylor. But I think the perfect combination of a good defense with a good offensive line and a good running back is the recipe to just be a good football team, because they're going to limit, because your running back's going to keep the other team off the field. Their defense is also going to keep them off the field. And I just think they're a good team. I think they have a good coach. And I think that, they're going to play some good old fashioned, rough football, and they're going to win football games.
Yeah.
That's
fair.
Yeah, so they just lost. Yeah. So they just lost Nick Sirianni, which sucks. And I'm not as sold on that defense. I don't, like we said, I mean, we haven't said this yet actually, but defenses are not sticky. Like they are very year to year. You know what I mean? It's not like you have some teams that are always up there, like the Steelers and
Patriots.
Yeah, the Patriots are always pretty good. The Bucks of late, but I mean, it's really not a sold thing on that defense. And then the offense, Carson Wentz is leading it, and I do not like Pittman much at all. And I like him as a guy, though. I like what his YouTube channel is really cool. You guys should check it out.
I'm going to say it's TikTok.
No, YouTube channel. But yeah, that, and then Paris Campbell can't stay healthy. I actually like better than Pittman, but he can't stay healthy. So I mean, I'm not projecting injury, but it's just likely that he gets injured. So the only guy I believe in on that offense is Jonathan Taylor, and he's to the moon. But that's all. Jonathan Taylor is going to win football games, like NFL wise. Running backs don't matter. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty out on them. I mean, 22 might be a little egregious, but I'm pretty sold on them not doing great.
I think their defense will keep them in the conversation, and like Pittman, Campbell, the offense definitely does not have to run through them. If Taylor's going to see success, that line is going to bust holes wide open. So I do like the game script that they are going to be able to put forward, and as much as you want to scheme against it, I mean, Quentin Nelson's that guy. He's going to put you on your ass, and then Jonathan Taylor's that guy, and he's gonna take it to the house. So just the pieces they have on that offensive line, I think, are going to be really tough to stop for 4 quarters.
I think I could name 3 wide receivers on every football team in the NFL except the Colts. I cannot think of the third wide receiver on that team.
Pittman, Campbell, and then they had that there was a Pascal.
Zach Pascal. Yeah.
Zach Pascal. Wow. Yeah, like legit the worst wide receiver core in the NFL. I think they're actually worse than the Lions. I'd rather take Cephas.
I would too.
But they won.
At least they
won. Yeah. So like they had a good record last season with a quarterback that I think was not as good as Wentz.
T.Y. is the third.
Yeah, they had
if he plays.
But he's not. No, I thought he already said he wasn't.
Who, T.Y.?
I thought he tried to leave. I thought he tried to go leave. And
he's playing.
I think he's still rostered. It's just the health issue. Like he just missed the field a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, it's that Paris Campbell's probably more injury prone than he is.
That's my bad then. I could have named T.Y. Hilton, but I thought he had left. I thought he had left already.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you guys. If you guys were at the 1 yard line with the Colts offensive line, how many chances do you think it would take you to score a touchdown if you were running back?
Us? Oh,
Who am I-
Like
who
you
are we-
personally? Let's say
who
you
are
had,
we
might
playing
never
against?
get there.
let's say
Who are we playing against?
let's say like the middle of the pack team, like, well, I don't know, 15, 16 ranked defensive line, 20 carries straight. Everybody knew they were running for the
Fuck.
most part.
Do I get a
Would you
fullback?
get it?
I might get one.
Yes.
I get a
I
fullback.
might get one
Yeah.
in.
You get goal line. You get a goal line, like goal line package.
Goal line look.
Fullback.
I formation.
Actually, I might be able to
Yeah.
crawl under the lineman and
Mhm.
sneak in.
Oh,
Maybe they just wouldn't even see you back there. Probably.
Yeah, they wouldn't even know there was a running back on the field. Actually, they wouldn't know that. They wouldn't know that the run was coming because they'd be like, "It's a shotgun."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in this,
Just the fullback set, the classic.
I'm gonna need to have complete trust though in that offensive line too, because I feel like if they know, like, hey, who's this guy running the ball? I want to see what happens if I let this
Hey,
guy
if
through.
I'm just
You know,
gonna
like,
let this
They're gonna
linebacker
want to see
through and see what
some
happens.
kind of spectacle themselves,
Yeah.
and I got to make sure that they don't want to see that.
Yeah.
So if I know that they're blocking 100%, yeah, maybe I get fucking 1 out of 20.
Maybe 1 out of
Maybe,
20.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Against real NFL athletes, I could.
I'm real self-deprecating. I'm pretty
yeah,
sure I'm
punch
not
my-
getting in there.
Dude,
you
they
just
could,
have
yeah.
to see one big hole to have a chance.
I hope. Is Shanny
Anyway.
scheming it? Can I have Shanahan scheme it?
Sure, there you go. Maybe that's your one chance.
Yeah.
Shanahan schemes a hole big enough.
Yeah.
Anyways, number 13, New England Patriots. Spence at 11, me at 14, John at 17.
Mhm.
Spence.
I love Mac Jones, man.
Mac.
I hate how disrespected he was. He's in the perfect system. Like, you can't name a better system for a statue quarterback. Like, maybe the Steelers, but that O line is rough. Patriots O line is decent. They got better. Cam Newton didn't look good last year. I don't think he's going to play many games this year. Hopefully, at least, especially for fantasy. If you're rostering like I need Jacoby Myers or Damian Harris, like you might actually get touchdowns. So I like what they're doing there. The defense is nuts. They're going to run the 12 personnel. I don't know if it's going to be Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronkowski 12 personnel, but I mean, it's going to be good. Like, Jonnu Smith can catch footballs, and Hunter Henry is great. So
Did Henry just catch an injury though?
I didn't see that.
Okay.
It might be he might not have played some training camp. I think, or not training camp, but OTA or whatever, which is fine. I don't think it's just a big deal. I'm not paying attention to too much stuff right now, unless it's like obvious, like an ACL tear or something.
Right.
But,
I just can't take
I
Mac Jones seriously wearing number 50 as he throwing passes. Have you seen those videos of him at OTAs?
Yeah,
wearing number 50.
Well, because that's what they say they make them wear until they prove themselves. Yeah,
I think it's kind of a cool concept.
Okay.
Yeah, but you talk about the division, you know what I mean? Like, I 100% see the Patriots beating the Bills once, and then they can just stomp the fucking Jets, and then the Dolphins. Like, you guys are believers. I'm not as much of a believer. I had him at 23. I don't think Tua is the truth, personally. So I could easily see him taking a game, possibly two. So overall, I think they're definitely playoff contenders this year, even with Mac Jones. So I'm excited. Not to see them win because we saw enough of that past 10 years, 20 years. But I think they're going to be good. They're always good. You know what I mean? Even when they were bad, they were good. So,
yeah. The
I'm
production
excited.
they got out of the roster last year was impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Number 12, Tennessee Titans. Spence at 18, me at 13, and John at 9. John, you can take this one.
That offense is going to be damn near impossible to stop. They had like, what was their record last year? Like 11 wins?
I think they were 11-5. Yeah, I can check.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might have been 11.
Less
10 or
than-
11.
11 wins with the defense that they had, and I don't think their defense is that great, is pretty nuts. And then you're going to put Julio Jones in that mix. Like, defensive coordinators are losing sleep trying to, like, do I shut down AJ Brown? Do I put somebody in the box for Derrick Henry? Oh shit, what do I do about Julio? Like, that, it's going to be incredibly hard to stop that offense. And so if their defense takes any kind of step forward from how they played last season, that team is going to be true contenders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see them as like a 12-5 team. I think they are going to be a little better. I'm sure Julio, can get them at least one more win. Their whole raw team makeup isn't too different. I do kind of see Derrick Henry regressing, just because you don't get, what did he have, 300 touches last year? I think I don't know what it was. I don't know how many touches it was, but it was usually
Including postseason, it was closer to like 400 at least.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think like historically running backs coming off a season where they have that many touches, they usually regress. So I mean, he is
There's
Derrick
never
Henry,
been
so
someone to
that's what-
rush for 2,000 yards and then eclipse 1,400.
But like,
Okay.
who has
There we go.
looked like Derrick Henry?
I mean,
Like-
there's a few guys that we
Like
can
we,
name.
we can argue Eddie
John
George,
Oakman.
but like that's not a player that I would have wanted to fade after.
Oh, you mean like
after a
comp?
product- right?
I thought you meant. Oh no, I
Like
mean,
in
there's
general.
obviously, yeah. I
Like
don't know.
you could say Eddie George, but like that's not a player that I ever would have wanted to fade after a productive season because he kept doing it until he retired. Like that, I just think that Henry's kind of built that way.
maybe he is built different. I don't know.
He could be built different.
Could be.
The only thing I want to say about the Titans is I agree. Derrick Henry is going to regress. It's possible he misses time this year, which he's like never done. And I get that it's unlikely, but age just does that to you. So I can see that definitely happening. I think that's really going to hurt them because they scheme with him so much.
Mhm.
And I think Ryan Tannehill can survive without him. It's just like if it happens mid-season, which is when it's going to happen, that's going to be hard for them to figure out mid-season, I think. So that's the only reason I'm out on them, I guess, at 18.
That's a good point. All right, so number 11, Steelers. Spence has them at 5. I have them at 8, and John has at 19. Spence,
Heartbreaker.
since you're a Steelers fan.
Yeah.
You can tell John why he's wrong.
Well,
Actually,
19
that
is
might
just
have been a misstep
crazy.
by me. I don't think that that was a mistake by me.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
That's
Even
okay.
Yeah.
But it's just great, like, because they're making playoffs. Like,
Yeah.
playoffs every year. You know what I mean? And that to me means you have to be top 10, like at worst. You know what I mean? So the defense was amazing last year. You know what I mean? Like, we saw it. They got banged up and they lost like 1 or 2 pieces. It's not the end of the world. That defense is going to be amazing. It always is. The offense was abysmal last year. They couldn't run the ball. And obviously everyone is saying, oh, the O-line was horrible. So like they're old and that means your pass blocking gets a little bit better. Because you're like more experienced, you know how to like maneuver the blocking, but the rushing blocking gets worse because it's hard to push forward when you're fucking 30 years old. So that sucks, but I love the way they went. They went with honestly the biggest need, running back. James Conner was not the guy and he wasn't helping, you know what I mean? He was just a guy in there. They're going to give all the carries to Najee Harris though. Najee Harris is going to be able to do more with the carries he
Najee is
gets.
a beast.
Open the field. Then they get Pat Fryermuth, who is a great run blocker in college and obviously helps in the pass game. But first season, I'm not really expecting that, but definitely some run block help because Eric Ebron is not that dude. And they paid him money to catch passes and he can't do that. So I think Pat Fryermuth take over Eric Ebron's role a little bit and then just do way better at run blocking. And then they get in the third round O-lineman, who I really like. So they did it. They went through the draft like really exactly how I think that they wanted to and how they needed to. And I think it's just like the sky's the limit for this team. Like Ben is going to have more time in the pocket. DJ is not going to be able to get that more separation because that time to throw is going to be longer. And Chase Claypool is going to develop, still just be a red zone beast and take those deep balls. And Juju is like super underrated, like one of the best slot receivers in the league, but disrespected because of his amazing season. And then he like regressed back to the real world where slot receivers live. You know what I mean? Like in that 12 to 24 range. That's where all the slot wide receivers live in fantasy. So the good ones, that is. So I don't know. I think a lot of people are really down on the Steelers because they were like, oh, they didn't take an O-line. But it's like you're taking an O-line at pick 20. Like it's still not a fucking it's not a sold thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
But Najee Harris is a sold thing. So
100%.
I'm really excited for the Steelers. I think they're easily the best team in the division. I know a lot of people are really high on the Browns, that rushing offense they have, and then the Ravens obviously with another dominant rushing offense.
Yeah.
But I think the Steelers are gonna be able to do it this year for sure.
And if they feed Najee, that will absolutely unlock, Claypool, Deontay Johnson, and Juju. Like the defenses were able to shut them down because they didn't really need to worry about Connor that much. And then if they had to go stop Connor, the offensive line was not that formidable to be, like something that they actually had to like, oh, we need, a safety in the box at all times. Like they didn't have to do that. If Najee can be productive, and I absolutely think he will be, Steelers passing game is going to open wide up. I should move them up because I also think their defense is elite.
And it wasn't efficient last year, but it was still productive as hell.
Right.
Like it was one of the best passing offenses in the league, just based off of production and volume. But it's going to be more efficient, which is the best part.
And then like the fluke games where Deontay Johnson just had to leave, I don't see that. I don't see that repeating. And so if he's in just more games, like that's going to be incredibly hard to stop because Deontay Johnson is a really good wide receiver, and the way that they target him and the way that he kind of beats coverage, if they don't lose him for I think it was just 4 fluke games. Like he took a helmet in the back once. I think he turned funny once, and then one was a concussion. Like those ones
and I think he missed one game just before. I think he had a ankle sprain or something like that.
Yeah. So there was just some fluke games where if you're a fantasy owner, you're like, well, I'm starting Deontay Johnson, and then you read Saturday night or even Sunday morning that he's not, or you started him Sunday and you're like, shit, he took a helmet in the back. I remember that one. And then he had to get pulled from the game. So if they're not losing wide receivers to freak weird injuries like that, or freak game circumstances like that, their offense is going to stay on the field a lot longer and be incredibly hard to stop.
Yeah. And people call him Drop King Deontay, but it's he wasn't Drop King Deontay in 2019 because he didn't drop the ball a lot. He had amazing separation in 2019, but then it regressed because the time to throw was so short. It was less than a second. You know what I mean? How can you get separation if you're literally leaving the line of scrimmage and the defender's right next to you? You can't. So obviously you're going to drop the ball more when you don't have that separation, but he can create separation. So once he
100%.
does, then the drops will regress. You know what I mean? Drops are not sticky either. We talk about defenses not being sticky. Drops are not sticky. They're very variant. You know what I mean? There's some players who don't have good hands, but they don't usually last in the NFL if they don't have good hands. You know what I mean? Deontay has good hands. 100%. He's just struggling with separation right now because of the way the offense is running.
They talk about... Oh, go for it.
Go ahead. I was going to say Nelson Aguilar was notoriously had the worst hands in NFL history practically.
Yeah.
This man was booed off of, practically off the field, and he fixed it, so it's not
with Derek Carr. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I agree. I'm not worried about it for DJ.
Well, and Deontay Johnson, his target volume was absolutely insane. So with that, drops are going to happen. You're going to see drops because he's getting thrown the ball so often. And every pass that gets thrown to him is not a perfect pass, and it's not in the perfect spot to catch it. So that to use these kind of drops and just have this narrative nope, all he does is drop the ball. It tells me you're not watching football, because if you're watching, you see that he gets targeted and thrown to so often, and he makes plays often enough to where the drops, if you're really watching, shouldn't matter to you.
Yeah. I love it.
You guys good to move on?
Sure.
Yep.
All right. Number 10, Los Angeles Chargers. We're all pretty even with this one. Spence at 10, and then me and John are both at 11. I mean, everyone kind of sees them. Yeah. We kind of all see, them taking that step forward. We all agree Justin Herbert's going to be good.
Take it Eckler for the whole season. It's going to be filthy.
Eckler for the whole season.
They did lose Henry.
Hopefully Derwin James is going to be back. They did lose Henry.
Yeah.
So their defense should take a step forward. They were so close to being a 10-win team last year. They were just
out of nowhere.
Yeah. 10 touches.
Yeah.
10 touches
10
from
plays,
making playoffs or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So just it's kind of how the 49ers were the year before we made the Super Bowl. We lost every game by 3 or less points. We were just this close, and sometimes that you're playing against, elite, defenses and elite teams. It's so easy to, be a better team and still lose by, that small. So,
Yep.
I think Keenan Allen's going to show people that he deserves to be in a top 5 conversation.
I think for redraft, he easily has a shot at being the wide receiver 1 this year. There's just nobody else on that offense to throw to. You can count Eckler, but those are design plays usually. So as far as actual the passing attack, it's literally Keenan Allen. We can't trust Mike Williams and what is his name? Josh Palmer. Rookie 3rd rounder. Probably not expecting him to
Probably
take much. So the volume is just gonna be nuts. I think we could see Keenan Allen be the guy who gets 35% target share this year.
I was gonna say what Michael Thomas did. That's
exactly
in the range of possibilities for Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for him for sure.
The route running ability that Keenan Allen brings to it, it makes him so viable to just go off as he could have wide receiver 1 numbers, and I'm
when he broke his touchdown curse.
Yeah,
he was under 6 or 7 for 5 years, right, or something like that. He could never break it, and then he did.
People wrote him off because he had some of the weirdest injuries. He had a lacerated kidney for a season, And like people just saw, the health concern and it's like, oh, he's injury prone. It's like, well, no, he didn't really ruin anything on his body that makes you bad or good at football. He had some freak injuries and like he's come back from them. And yeah, he's one of the most productive wide receivers with some of the cleanest routes in the game.
Yeah.
Number 9, the San Francisco 49ers.
I don't know how the fuck this happened. This is whack.
I don't have
Spence
them at
has
9.
them at 6. I have them at 7. John has them at 15. I have so many things to say about them that I.
How am I the highest? I don't understand. What the hell is this? I'm on the
John,
49ers podcast.
You can. You got some explaining to do, my friend.
I do have some explaining to do, and I will explain it. So it's a really good team. I'm just seeing the reports early that we're losing players, and I don't love it. So I want to be cautious with my power ranking with them, because if the roster is not intact for the season, we've seen what that looks like. It's not great. So I love the players they've taken. I don't know if there's a bigger Trey Lance fan than I've been. So I am incredibly stoked for them to go forward with him. I don't know how many games Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be the guy to win those games. So if the defense is playing well and we have all of our players, I like them in this range. But with the reports I'm seeing right now and the roster concerns in terms of health, I want to just be a little more cautious with the power ranking.
All right. Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, we had a top 10 defense last year, even though our team was so beat up on defense and offense. Jimmy G is good enough. He has the best receiving core he's ever had. He has the best running backs he's ever had. He has the best offensive line he's ever had. Defense isn't as good as it was, but our offense is going to be good enough that it's going to make up for that. I honestly think 7. I had them a little lower just because I didn't want to be too homer with it. So I did, because like for me,
You saw me at 6
My
and said I
heart
gotta
tells
be
me-
behind this guy.
my heart tells me top 5. I honestly would not be surprised if we win the Super Bowl this year. I think anyone from
With
9
Jimmy
up,
G, right?
with Jimmy G.
Yeah.
From 9 up, I honestly think that the only reason that I have them as low as I do is the fact that history has shown that we get injured a lot.
Right.
And injuries isn't something that I really am going to use to like predict, like, oh, well, technically they get hurt a lot. I mean, it seems like it's what happens, but I mean, if we stay healthy, there's zero reason why we, aren't at least competing as a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I'm
I don't know.
interested to see the new defensive coordinator too, and how the defense is going to look now that Salah's in New York.
Yeah, I think it'll be pretty similar.
Mhm.
But yeah, it'll be interesting. This is another controversial one, staying in the NFC West. The Arizona Cardinals at number 8. Me and Spence have them at 12, and John has them at 3.
Oh, that is a huge mistake.
This might have been 13, maybe.
Yeah, I definitely meant to put that outside the top 10.
All right.
Let me just say that I love a lot of those players. I don't think Kingsbury's a very good coach. So they've got a lot of talent, and they just don't really have a good captain of that ship yet. I don't know how I put him at 3.
Yeah, I think I do like some things they're doing. I like Kyler Murray. I do agree that Cliff Kingsbury is a bad coach. So,
Yep. All in agreement here.
Yeah. So moving on, number 7, Cleveland Browns. Spence at 8, me at 6, John at 7. So we're all pretty much in agreement. I think that their roster, I think they have one of the best, just like straight up rosters in the NFL. And a lot of it's just going to come down to how good can Baker be. Because if Baker can play like his max potential, they're Super Bowl contenders. Their defense is elite. They, obviously OBJ, Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, top 5 offensive line. It's just like, what
well coached.
can I say?
3
Well
good
coached,
pass catching tight ends.
Right. So it's like, what can I say? Harrison Bryant and Austin Hooper. What can I say?
And Njoku.
Yeah. And so, I mean, what else is there that needs to be said?
Yeah.
My thing is, you said Baker's max potential.
Yeah.
I think we've seen it. I think he's a game manager. He's like mediocre at best. I'm not really seeing any major strides coming from him. I'm pretty locked in that he's going to be possibly a perennial starter, like a Derek Carr, Phillip Rivers, like good but not great. You know what I mean?
And they were one play away from beating the Chiefs last year.
Yeah.
So
true.
one stopped 4th down. They probably
have it in them for sure. But that,
Well,
I mean, I have him at 8, like you said.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all in similar agreements here. But as the person in the back, I will say it's because I'm not as high on Baker Mayfield. Like I think his max potential is just barely above what we've seen last year, which isn't bad by any means. That's not what I mean.
no.
It's just I just don't think there's much more that he has to go.
It's just the recipe for success with that team is Chubb and Hunt. So if that's working, and we haven't seen it really not work yet, Baker Mayfield does not have to be any kind of prolific
Exactly.
passer. Shit. So
and that's why I was confused with the Vikings. I was like, just do what the Browns are doing. Like, just keep going with Dalvin Cook. Maybe find another guy to help him out. Like, that's not Alexander Madison, who's not great, or they let Mike Boone go or whatever, and then they bring in this super athletic punt returner. I don't know what they're doing, but then their defense was good in 2019. Like, that's what you need to keep doing. Like, just do what the Browns are doing, like verbatim, and you'll be fine.
The problem with having a really good rushing attack is you do need a good defense to complement, because if you're down 25 points because your defense is so bad, I can't pound the ball with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, look at the Steelers. The Steelers' motto to success has been insane defenses with a super heavy rush attack. You know what I mean? And then when they pass a ton, they look terrible, which is exactly how it is,
Yep.
So
number 6, the Green Bay Packers. This one I have them at Spence at 4. I have them at 10. John at 6. I mean, this one's like impossible to rank, because if Aaron Rodgers is there, I probably have them at 3. If he's not there, I probably have them at 23. So
you just put him in the middle.
So I just put him in the middle. So
I just went with the gut. Yeah, I just went with the gut. I went 4. I'm at 4 with Rodgers starting week 1.
There's just no reason why. If I'm the Green Bay Packers, I am saying you can have whatever you want. We'll give you the head coach
100%.
title, and we'll fire fucking Matt LaFleur if that's what you want.
Yeah.
That's how good he is. Just let him do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yep.
So
well, they drafted Jordan Love, and then they didn't help him in the first round last year. Like, so
I mean, they've never helped him in the first round.
No, they have. You're right. They have never, literally ever. GM Brian Gutekunst is never. It's insane. The last wide receiver he drafted before Elijah Moore, or not Elijah Moore, before what's this guy's name? Amari Rodgers was
Lazard and Marquez,
like 4th or 5th rounder. No, it wasn't even him. They didn't draft him. It was Brian Gutekunst did not draft that guy. The only wide receiver Brian Gutekunst, their current GM, has drafted in the past 3 or 4 years was some random dude they cut the year after.
It's crazy. I'm surprised it's taken him this long. He's been upset for so long.
Yeah, it's like I don't get it.
I don't blame him at all for how.
What do you draft Jordan Love for, and you have Aaron Rodgers? Like, I just can't even fathom it. You know what I mean? Like, if you're Tom Brady, it's like, oh, he's 42. Yeah, like, let's grab Jarrett Stidham.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But like, come on, dude. Like, Aaron Rodgers at 36 at the time, or 37.
Well, if you really want that quarterback, for me, you do what Tampa did, and you take Trask in the 3rd, or if you do, you take.
Well, they took him in the 2nd.
Did they take him in the 2nd?
The end of the 2nd. It was like the last pick of the 2nd.
Yeah. But still, that's what I would do versus, obviously taking Jordan Love. Number 5, the Los Angeles Rams. Spence has them at 7. I have them at 4, and John has them at 8. I guess I'll take this one since I'm the highest on him. I mean, I'm a big defense guy, and I think it all starts there. You can, talk about their defense all day. They were the number 1 defense in the NFL. Jared Goff has been pretty meh.
After
their offense has still been good. And then you add in Matt Stafford to that offense. Cam Akers is going to take that next step. Really, the only offensive weapon they lost is Gerald Everett. If their offensive line can stay healthy, they pretty much, it's kind of along the same lines as the Browns. They literally have no holes. Their depth is iffy, so a couple injuries, I could see, hurting them a lot. But if they stay healthy, I mean, they pretty much do have no holes, and their limit is Matt Stafford. And we all know
Matt Stafford's playing.
Yeah.
Matt Stafford played through anything.
Yeah, right. Yeah, literally a dislocated shoulder to play through. So
I watch that. I go back and watch that clip probably 3 times a year.
Just like your morning
6-minute segment of him, him driving down the field, getting banged up. They get to I watch it like 6, I don't know, at least 3 times a year. It's so good.
Yeah, it's so good.
Talk about like football, football team stuff. That's some stuff a football team should have done.
And coming in number 4, the Baltimore Ravens.
Disgusting.
9.
I don't understand how they're number 4. No one has them above. No one has them below 4.
Because it goes by. Well, technically they're tied in fourth with the Rams.
4th, 5th, and 6th, actually. Oh, no.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, because your 9th plus our 5th is better than 7th, 4, 8. It's not a perfect system, all right? But anyways, me and John both have them at 5. Second best defense last year. I mean, we talked a little bit about Lamar and the predictability of Greg Roman, which I think does limit them a little bit. But I think, their defense is good enough. I'm hoping that, their offense will, Dobbins hopefully is going to, take a little bit of a leap. They did bring back Gus. Then they added Rashad Bateman, which I think is just going to, hopefully help their passing attack be a little bit less one-dimensional.
Yeah, I'm hoping their focus on getting, Bateman and improving that wide receiver core is them taking a step in the direction of like not being so predictable on the ground and like not having our wide receivers run the same kind of routes over and over again. Like the variation in the route trees that they had the wide receivers running was like non-existent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same. I think Greg Roman is the like holding him back so much. Well, like J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards are good, and I mean
really
Mark Ingram too. But it's like they're not Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt. Like you know what I mean? Like you could compare J.K. Dobbins to Nick Chubb, that's fine. But like neither Ingram nor Edwards are close to Hunt or what he brings to the team.
I think Ingram's in Houston now, right?
Yeah. Well, no, but I just meant like in the past, like what we've seen from them. Mm-hmm. So yeah, them drafting Rashad Bateman and Tylan Wallace in the 4th is just huge. I think it means that they're committed to passing. Hopefully, Greg Roman takes a little bit of a step back in the offense and lets someone else maybe play with it a little bit because it is really good. And I hate to say it because it's the Ravens, but
right.
Yeah, I think them drafting Bateman just tells me like, okay, we need to pay more attention to this. We need to invest into this passing attack a little more. And if Lamar Jackson could take the next step in the passing game, then yeah, I mean it's to the moon for this team.
Mm-hmm. Follow the money is what they say. They drafted 2 receivers and they added Sammy Watkins, which they still did it. So I mean, it says something.
Yeah, true. And they wanted Juju.
Juju. And I think they were in talks with Kenny G as well. So
yep.
Number 3, the Buffalo Bills. Me and Spence at 3, John at 4, which is probably a typo with Arizona. So he probably has
this is that 3, right? 100%.
I mean. They all brought back all 22 starters, the same as the Bucs.
I
mean, they were great last year. The complete package. Josh Allen seems to be elite. Hopefully, it wasn't a fluke.
Defense is great. Coaching is great.
Yeah, and Zach Moss is going to improve. Like
I agree
he
with
was
that
banged
too.
up. He was banged up all last year.
Yeah,
Devin Singletary is not that good. Like he's just not. And Zach Moss was banged up all last year, so you had to deal with Devin Singletary. Zach Moss healthy. Like the 2020 running back class is just insane. Like the fact that Zach Moss is the 8th best running back out of the class, still good, is just insane. Like you can't say that about this class. You know what I mean? Like after you get to 4, you're like, oh my god, like do I really need to look at Trey Sermon right now?
Yeah.
Like I think this offense is gonna be great.
I mean, the difference was like Trey Sermon with 4 versus like the 4th from this class was who, like J.K. Dobbins or Cam Akers, like.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, last year's class
or DeAndre Swift or Gibson, like you can put whoever you want there.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't care. Yeah,
CH. Yeah.
James Robinson, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Undrafted.
Yeah, still in the class.
Yeah.
And then number 2, the Bucs. Number 1, the Chiefs. So Spence has the Chiefs at 2, and the Bucs at 1, and then me and John have that reversed. So Spence, why do you have the Bucs over the Chiefs?
I just don't know what you guys think might have changed from last year to make you think that they could beat the Bucs now. Like they just dominated.
O-line.
It's not that. Okay, so my big thing is the Bucs. You both have said. Well, I don't know if you said, John, but Matt, you said defense is what you love. Like the Bucs defense.
Bucs is amazing.
Insane.
I agree.
You know
I agree with that.
Yeah. And the offense is still insane too. Like you're talking about Antonio Brown. I don't care how old he is. Insane. He's so good. The last 6 games they played, he was just nuts.
Yeah.
Rob Gronkowski's still good enough, at least, even if it's just a decoy. You know what I mean? And then Chris Godwin and Mike Evans.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones. Like these are all guys that are just gonna do well with the football in their hands. And Tom Brady is not changed. Nothing's changed for Tom
Yeah,
Brady.
but
and
Pat
who knows
Mahomes-
when it's going to happen?
So
Right, but
the-
we just witnessed Pat Mahomes crumble. You know what I mean? I
That
get the
was-
O-line.
I did not
Whoa,
crumble,
whoa, whoa,
bro.
whoa.
But I get the O-line.
You thought that
crumbled.
was crumbling?
In the Super Bowl?
Bro,
The
Pat
man
Mahomes
was
elite,
parallel
dude.
to the field
No, I'm
throwing
saying- no,
touchdown
you're right.
Hitting
passes.
off of his
No,
helmet,
but you're
bro.
right. He looked good, but what we used to see, not what we used to see, but what we normally see from Patrick Mahomes is he's insane and then they dominate. But we just saw him be insane and then not dominate.
We saw him run for his life.
Yeah,
So if he-
exactly.
so
but
the only-
but he
the
can normally
difference
do
is-
that and win. But versus the Bucks, it was like no shot.
Okay, but so if he doesn't have to run for his life, though, that's where the Chiefs are just too filthy. Like if that line is giving Mahomes a clean pocket, that's the like we saw Mahomes throw touchdown passes, hit receivers in the face mask to drop it while he's parallel to the ground. So if they just clean up the line, he's hitting the same touchdown passes. So
Yeah.
if the
we keep talking now about injuries and stuff, you bank on like, oh, you know, like I have the 49ers at 6 and 7, but you know, if an injury happens like it normally does, but like that's not accounting. Like, what if Travis Kelce goes down? He's 32, 33. You know what I mean? Tyreek Hill's not invincible. You know what I'm saying?
If Brady goes down, that's you got a similar argument
You're
there,
right.
a similar scenario.
You're right. But what I'm saying is you're talking about the O-line staying healthy. Like that's not a guarantee. So I'm just going off of what we saw last year and what I can project for this year. And there's just no chance that anybody's beating the Bucks.
The O-line has been revamped though. It is absolutely not the same
Yeah,
O-line.
it looks better. It looks good.
Okay.
They did add a little bit of depth, which is the main problem. The O-line was good last year. It was good the whole year. They just got banged up. They had no depth.
Mhm.
And this year they have a little more depth, but the O-line is actually like similar in terms of talent, in my opinion. They just have a little more depth now.
I think they upgraded a bit.
So
they
yeah,
got that
I
guy
don't know.
from the Ravens.
Yeah.
What's his name? Brown.
Yeah,
Orlando Brown.
But they dropped two of their starters.
That's true. They did.
So,
but those starters were aged vets that were productive sometimes. Like they got a real upgrade with Orlando, and then they did add some depth pieces that. Look, if Mahomes doesn't have to run for his life, the way that he slings the football and the way that offense can score points, it's gonna be tough all over again.
It's just, I mean, for me, it's a clear 1 and a 2, and it's a tier thing. You could move them either way. The thing that it comes down to is, I just think Mahomes, is Mahomes, and that's Brady.
Tom Brady is Tom Brady. You can't just give up on Tom Brady.
I don't.
You can't say. I hate that.
Saying he's number 2.
Get Mahomes out of here, dude. He's been really good. He's still not Tom Brady. Like I don't care what you say. No one's Tom Brady.
Yeah, but you're saying,
and Tom Brady has better weapons.
Who would you rather have
tell me.
running the Steelers right now, Mahomes or Brady?
Wait, what?
Who would you rather have as the starting quarterback for the Steelers this year, Mahomes or Brady?
This year, Tom Brady all day, every day. I'll take Tom Brady every time.
I don't know about that.
You guys are crazy.
I
don't know what it is. I don't know what it is.
Here's the thing: you take Mahomes off of the Chiefs, and the Chiefs win like 7 games, maybe.
No, Alex Smith took him to the playoffs the year before he left. No, come on.
At that point in his career, he was a Pro Bowler.
He's playing well.
He was decent.
But that was also a very different offense. Like Tyreek Hill was on that offense, and nobody knew who he was yet.
No, he was good. Tyreek Hill was already good with Alex Smith.
He was
already producing for fantasy. He was already
for
producing for fantasy, and Travis Kelce had been there the whole time. So no, I disagree. Like Alex Smith was made by Andy Reid in that offense, and Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying he's made by it, but you could put a lot of different quarterbacks on that Chiefs team, and they would do really well.
Dang.
But if you take Tom Brady off of the Bucs, I don't know if they're as nuts as they are.
I don't know. I think that's a hot take. I think it's Mahomes, huge tier drop, and then everybody else. I think he's basically playing in his own league at this point.
No, you're crazy. You can't even take Aaron Rodgers out of that top echelon.
Okay, that's true.
And Deshaun Watson.
I do agree with that. Deshaun's elite. I just don't like the legal issues.
I still think he's nowhere near Mahomes, though.
You're crazy. If Deshaun Watson went to play with the Chiefs, he would do better than what Patrick Mahomes does there if Patrick Mahomes went to the Texans. 100%. 100%.
Oh, yeah.
But there's no
Deshaun Watson would do.
There's
more,
no help on. There's no help in Houston.
No. Deshaun Watson would do more in Kansas City than what Mahomes has done now. 100%.
Watson's a better quarterback than Mahomes is.
He would do more with what he had. Yeah, 100%.
I just disagree, I guess. I don't know. I think Mahomes is the best in the NFL.
Well, it's easy to look the best when all you throw to is Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. They made Alex Smith look like a good NFL quarterback.
He tried to get Hardman and Robinson involved, but they clanked it off their face masks.
Yeah, that game was just like the definition of a fluke game to me. It's just like everything that could have gone bad for Mahomes.
Yeah, what was it? Wait, what was it? Chad Henne?
Like Robinson and Hardman were the ones dropping balls in the end zone.
No, but you're talking about Chad Henne, right? He didn't he win the play? Did he win the playoff game, or did he? What? I don't remember what happened.
Oh, he played like a quarter less than that.
I don't even remember that.
You're talking about when Mahomes got a concussion.
Yeah. I don't know. You guys,
I don't know.
I also give the edge.
Bucs is just overall just an infinitely better team. If you just so take the quarterbacks out of it. Take Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes out of it. What team is better?
The Bucs.
Yeah, like by far, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're just saying you think Mahomes fills that gap. Yes. I just disagree. There's just
I think the Bucs are the best team in football. Like the best team, but Mahomes just like takes them, to the one spot.
Yeah.
I think if Mahomes has a clean pocket, he can beat the Bucs, and he got close without it.
Right, so you have to cater to him. Like I don't understand.
You have to cater to him. You don't have to like not like.
Yeah, but you're saying if you give him the perfect O-line, then he'll dominate.
Not even the fact that he was still throwing touchdown passes parallel to the field, and they're clanking off of receivers' face masks. If you clean up any of that, then
any NFL quarterback can make a crazy play. You know what I mean? They can have.
I'm not saying he needs
Mahomes was making the craziest.
He was literally like taking the snap, and there was a dude in his face. Like it was just like abysmal.
I don't know.
All right, well,
that's
the note we're gonna end the show on. Spence, thanks for coming on, man. Hopefully we'll be able to do this again. Make sure everybody go check him out on Twitter. Check out his show. Yep. We'll talk to you guys later.
Peace.
Yeah, take it easy.
Sounds like football, baby.